Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Today we are going to be doing a mid-month wrap-up. I love when I have a month where I have to do a mid-month wrap-up because I've just been reading so much. I only do these if I've read 5 or more books at the midpoint of the month. Today is the 16th and I have completed 8 books. One really short, just kind of quote book, and I've DNF'd 4. So it's been an amazing reading month so far. Let's talk about all the things. I'm going to start with my 4 DNFs because 2 of these go back to the library and I want them out of my house. So I had gleanings on my Flip and Roll TBR as a NetGalley that's kind of out of my comfort zone. And because this is a book of short stories, I picked this one. And it is out of my comfort zone enough that I only made it about 40% through. I really wasn't enjoying it. I think the biggest problem is that it's been too long since I read the Scythe trilogy. And this is a collection of short stories set in the same world as the Scythe trilogy. In the stories that I read, you do get to see some characters from the original trilogy, but there were some that were just really weird. A psycho killer, like robot dog was in one of them. I don't know. I just really wasn't caring at all about this. So I just decided I don't need to continue on with the rest of the book. So DNF, I will still write kind of a review of the first few stories for my NetGalley just to keep my points moving up. I quickly DNF'd A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. I really should have known better because I didn't really love A Psalm for the Wild Built. I felt it to be a little bit on the preachy side, a little bit dialogue heavy, and I just didn't care about the characters at all. And this just felt like more of the same. I didn't really care. So it's not even a very long book, but I listened to maybe an hour or half an hour of the audio and I was like, nah, why am I have other books I would much rather read. So I set it down. Same thing happened with Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I didn't realize that the villain in this story is a demon character. And that just never sits well with me as a Christian reader. I just don't like books that make spiritual beings into characters and take them lightly. This is meant to be a funny, lighthearted, and I think a romance even is going to blossom between the two. I mean, our girl that we're following, Evie, she kept thinking how handsome this demon was. I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. And so therefore, I'm not going to be reading the rest of this. And I'm not going to read the second one, which I bought 2 of in my last book haul. For crying out loud, I need to stop buying sequels before I read the first one in the series. So yeah, I'm going to be unhauling this and not reading this series. Just isn't for me, and that's okay. There's lots of books that are. The 4th DNF that I did this month was Baker's Secret, which is a carryover from August's TBR. I was listening to this on Spotify. I ran out of hours in August, had to wait, or September, excuse me. I had to wait for the new pay period. And when I picked it back up, I just had lost the plot. I lost the story and I lost any ounce of caring about the story. I even listened to another hour and a half or so of the audio. And I didn't feel, this is a World War II story about a baker who ends up getting conscripted basically to make bread for the Nazi soldiers and manages to find a way so that she can also feed other people in her town who desperately need it. I think she's going to get involved in the resistance. It just didn't feel like it was doing enough different for me for a World War II story. I didn't care about our main character. I didn't care about the story. And so I decided at like 65-70% to DNF this one as well. It is what it is. I preach to other people all the time. Just set it down, DNF it. But I don't DNF myself that often. So to have 4 in 1 month feels like a lot. It feels frustrating, but I have also read some really great books too. So let's talk about those. I'm trying to read through my gifted shelf, and Eileen gifted me this little book of quotes, Why We Read, Quotations for Book Lovers, illustrated by Ellen Surrey. I love the illustrations in here. They're so adorable. I just think that this is such a great little quote book about reading, about the love of books. It's just really lovely. It was lovely to look at, lovely to read through. It didn't take me very long, and it gets another book off my gifted shelf. It just was a great little book of reading quotes. So glad that I read that one. I did read one more off of my Flip and Roll TBR, and that was The Bloomsbury Girls by Natalie Jenner. Natalie Jenner is the author of the Jane Austen Society, which one of the characters, two of the characters, I guess, but one of the three main girls that we're following in this book is from the Jane Austen Society, which was really cool to see that connection. In this one, we follow three women who work at a bookshop in Bloomsbury, and it's a very male-dominated bookshop. The owners and the managers are all male. The women get paid less. They are expected to make tea every day. Their ideas are not taken as seriously, and they're frustrated about it. And each of them is having some other issues at home and different things. We just kind of follow these three women. It's not a very fast-paced novel, but I was invested all the way through. I found it interesting, and it was kind of quieter as we followed these three ladies and this bookshop and kind of the life in the bookshop and the relationships between different people in the bookshop, and some of the authors that they meet and bring in, including Daphne du Maurier, which I thought was really cool. I enjoyed it. I would give it 4 stars. It was good. I think these next 4 books were all on my TBR Harvest TBR when I played the Pumpkin Patch board game. I didn't keep them all separate. They all kind of got mixed and mingled on my rotating bookshelf. But I have 4 books here that I read that were a lot of fun. 3 of them are very fall, so I'll do the one that's not very fall first. But I read The Fifth Avenue Story Society by Rachel Hawke. This was really good. 5 people in this story get an invitation early on. They have some kind of life change or dilemma or frustration with where their life is at, and then out of the blue receive this invitation to join the Fifth Avenue Story Society at this old library on Fifth Avenue. And they all show up. Nobody knows who the invitations are from, why they're all there. There's no set agenda or anything. They just kind of all show up, but they're all looking for something, and they all decide to continue meeting, and their lives then intersect as they share with each other what's going on. And there's only one divorced couple that's the obvious connection between the 2 people out of the 5. And there's one elderly man who's talking about writing a memoir about his late wife, whom he loved desperately. Another guy who is his ex has put a restraining order on him, so he's not able to even see his children at all. So he's really struggling. The one woman who's there runs a makeup, skincare kind of beauty line. It seems to be doing really well for herself, but there are things behind the scenes that not everybody knows. So yeah, just you kind of learn about their stories. Another quieter book, but I was just invested all the way through. You learn about their stories, and they all kind of help each other through this set period in their lives. There were some things that were pretty obviously going to happen, and it was a little bit predictable in that way, but I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. 4 stars for this one too. Then I had 3 books that felt very fall to me. The first one is The Nightmare House. This is by Sarah Allen. It's a middle grade about a young girl who notices when people's eyes go blank, and she is trying to figure out why that's happening and how to stop it. And so she and a friend of hers have to go to this house that shows up in her nightmares, in her dreams, but it's at a real place, and there's a soul stealer there who is stealing people's souls. And when the kids' parents get involved, when the kids' parents' eyes go blank, then the kids have to take a drastic action and go to the house and fight the soul stealer in order to save all of these souls whose eyes have gone blank. It was definitely a little bit allegorical, I would say. I think the soul stealer is called the fear maker. So a lot of talk about anxiety and fear and fighting your fear and facing your fears. And it definitely was a little bit darker and creepier, but also very good. Enjoyed that one a lot. I don't think I would have enjoyed it as a kid, because I just don't typically like creepier reads, but yeah, it was fun. I also really had a good time reading Can't Help Falling by Courtney Walsh. This is a sweet romantic comedy. In this one, we follow Owen and Emmy. Emmy is a baker. She has a very quiet life in the town where she grew up, and Owen is her best friend's older brother. And he was quite a playboy all through high school and such, except that Owen and Emmy had this friendship that they never really told anyone else about. And Emmy fell head over heels for Owen and told him about it at a very inopportune time. And then he jetted out of town. Now, a few years later, he's showing back up in town. I think it's like 8 years later, something like that. He's back in town and they have a second chance at love. I love when an author can write a romance that gives me butterflies without any physical connection, right? Like it's just because of their banter and their talk with each other. I thought this was very sweet. I thought it was believable. I could see their connection with each other. And I really enjoyed this one by Courtney Walsh. Definitely one of my favorite sweet rom-coms that I've read in a while. So that was really good. The fourth book that's from my TBR Harvest TBR is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I've been wanting to read this one, saved it for October. It's kind of the perfect time. In this one, we follow a woman who's house sitting somewhere remote. The closest person to her is her neighbor, but his house is kind of far away, and he's an older guy, and they like play hangman through telescopes. I couldn't really picture how it was working. And they would communicate by writing on whiteboards to each other. Like, I didn't really understand all that, but she's a very remote setting on the coast. She reads a horrible mystery novel and writes a scathing review. The author responds to her review, asking her to take it down. You're jeopardizing my ability to make money. Like this, you're going to prevent other people from trying my book, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm not taking it down. Like, this is what we do as reviewers. Like, I'm giving my honest opinion. Well, then things get a little turn south from there. The author does not let it go. Things get dangerous. Of course, she's in this remote, creepy setting. The weather is horrible. It's stormy all the time. The weather in this setting definitely played into the atmosphere and mood of this book for sure. And I had a good time with it. I read it through pretty quickly, even though there were a few twists toward the end, some of which I obviously knew were coming. There was one big scene, kind of a fighting climactic scene that felt very drawn out. I felt like that could have been cut quite a bit shorter. I didn't really love how it all wrapped up and ended. I felt some of that to be pretty predictable. Definitely wasn't as good for me as No Exit, which was terrifying and I hated, but loved, right? It was scary. This one, it was a good time. I read it through quickly. I enjoyed my time reading it. I never wanted to DNF it, but it also wasn't the greatest either. So, The Last Word. 3 stars? Maybe 3 stars. I did read one of my 5-star predictions, The Nature of Disappearing by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. I will say that I read through this in a day. I'm not going to talk very much about it. It's super short. I'll just say in this one, we follow a young woman who, after being left out in the wilderness, basically borderline frostbite, almost died. Her boyfriend just kind of left her there. This is 3 years later. She has made a life for herself in the wilderness until she sees on TV that her best friend has gone missing. And so she gets wrapped back up in trying to find what happened to her best friend. And I will not say more than that here. I'm trying to not even react with how I felt about it, because this will be in my 5-star predictions wrap up shortly. I have one more to do, one more to read. And so I'm making good progress on that, which I'm really pleased about. And then I did kind of, after getting a bunch of DNFs very early on in the month, I'm like, what is it that I actually want to be reading right now? So I went to my shelves and I found 3 books that have orange covers, and 2 of them have been on Libby and available already. So I've already read 2 of them. So first I read Nosy Neighbors. I would love to read Freya Sampson to Zero. This was a hit. It was such a delight. I got sucked right into the story. We mainly follow Dorothy Darling. She lives on the bottom floor of this house of apartments, and she is a nosy neighbor. She is constantly looking out her window, walking through the building, writing notes to the landlord with what's going on and what needs to be fixed and who's coming in, who's going out, keeps everything in a daily log. Then this girl with pink hair, young whippersnapper, rents a room from her across the hall neighbor who she hasn't spoken with in 30 years. And these two kind of get wrapped up in this mystery together. The house is, of course, going to be sold because of all of these houses and these types of stories. The landlord is now going to try to sell it and build condos or something. And the people in the house are going to fight against it. There's a bit of a mystery in there, but I just love Freya Sampson's ability to make connections with people, to write quirky characters. I've really enjoyed all of the Freya Sampson books that I've read so far, and this one did not disappoint. I really enjoyed this one as well. The one I just finished yesterday is The Authenticity Project by Claire Pooley. I knew I was going to love this one too, because once again, we have a group of people connecting with each other. And I love a found family. I love a unlikely group of friends. It just brings me so much joy. In this one, we follow an older man, 70-something-year-old dude, comes to this coffee shop run by Monica, and he leaves one day and she finds this green notebook left on the table. It has the Authenticity Project written on the front of it. And in flipping through to find out whose it was, she sees this note written by Julian, this older guy. And he's like, how well do you know your neighbors? How well do you know the people that are around you? How often do we truly open up about what is real in our lives? So he writes a little bit of his story in the book. So then Monica is determined to help Julian based on what she's learned about him from the book. And he used to be an artist when he was younger, hasn't been painting in a long time. So she invites him to come and teach an art class at her cafe that she owns, which is pretty cool. So that makes the connection between them. Well, Monica then writes her story, what she really is in like her heart of hearts, and she leaves her notebook somewhere else for someone else to find. And it kind of goes on from there, and we meet a few different characters whose lives all then become intertwined because of this Authenticity Project notebook. Of course, there's some mistakes made along the way, but this group of people really bond and form some deep friendships. And I just love that so much. It's like brain candy for me when I read a book that has that in it. I really enjoyed this one as well. I did think that this one had a little bit more, this one was just a little bit more edgy. Like there was a little bit of language in here that I didn't love and a little bit of sexual content that I didn't love, but it didn't get really descriptive or anything like that. And it wasn't the main point of the story. So overall, I really did enjoy this one very, very much. And that is my stack. Here are the 9 books that I've read so far in August. Why do I keep saying August? October. This is what I've read so far in October. Did I say August at the beginning? I may have. Good grief. These are the 9 books that I've read so far in October. It's been a really, really good reading month so far. I could see a couple of these going into my favorites basket, but you'll have to stay till the end of the month to find out which ones those are going to be. But yay. Yay for some good reads. I would love to hear how your October is going so far. Are you diving into the spooky, creepy reads? Are you reading some thrillers? Are you reading fantasy? What are you reading? I'm very excited about what I still have to read the rest of the month. I'm in the middle of the postcard right now. Priorities for the rest of the month is my Patreon book club book, as well as my read along of Air with Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand. So those are the 2 priority reads. I'm excited. So let's chat down in the comments about your reads, about my reads, about anything else you want to talk about. I love chatting with you down in the comments. And if you've made it all the way to the end, but you're not feeling chatty, go ahead and leave a hand in hand emoji. I know there's like people, anything with any emoji with a group of people, leave that down in the comments below, because Authenticity Project and Nosy Neighbors both, and Fifth Avenue Story Society really talked about groups of people coming together to form friendships. So let's put that emoji down in the comments just to let me know that you are here. I love getting to see who is here watching. Thank you so much for being a part of this little corner of the internet, and I look forward to chatting with you in another video very soon. Bye.